All right. Welcome to the call this beautiful Sunday night. Carrie's taking her spot outside. Is a good spot to be. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the sunshine. This is one of the first real great weekends that I can remember this year so far. First day of summer passed by us, and that was a good day. It just all of a sudden turned on the heat. And that's great. I managed to get out on the golf course. I did a lot of things that I love doing, play with the kids. I treated myself to something today, which is great too. I'll tell you guys at the end, so you guys stay on the call to hear what I did. And I really just used this weekend to kind of rest, recover. My body has been pretty banged up, and I do start a new program tomorrow. But yeah, it was a great weekend for all of that. I hope you guys did that too. I know some of you worked out, and those that will listen to this after may have done the same. But tonight's topic is all about stress plus rest equals growth. So why the word stress comes first is because we always use it as something that's negative. We always look at stress as a negative thing. It's always, pushed upon us that, oh, you're too stressed out, you're too this, you're too that. And we get caught up in that thinking. But I think what we're missing is that the human body requires stress, the mind requires stress, the heart requires that stress to actually grow. So what I mean by that is there's a certain level of stress that is required so that we can grow. But then that level is, it's a certain, I guess you could say, if you get too much of it, or you push the limits too far before you do any resting, then it becomes negative towards your body or towards your mind or towards your relationships, heart, all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, I found a really great article on it, and I'm going to share that screen with you guys here. So let's go there. Share desktop. So it's really broken down as an equation. You can look at it, the growth equation. Stress plus rest equals growth, a path to sustainable performance. So when we scroll down here, a lot of research has been done on this. It was just in one of my books that I was recently reading as well on peak performance. I'll share that title and author here just after we read through this. I listened to it on Audible. So it really got me thinking about what I put myself through and reflecting upon, I guess if you guys followed, I did that 75-day challenge, and I've been reflecting back on it ever since. And I haven't really opened up a ton of what I learned, kind of what I experienced just yet. I tried to do it on Instagram stories, and it just didn't feel right. I shared a little bit along the way, and obviously if you see me in person, you talk to me about it, and as well as some of the other participants. So I look back and I see all the things that I sacrificed. And this is a big thing when we're talking stress, because it can be good and bad when you sacrifice something. But I know that that sacrifice was good in the end, because it taught me, or at least showed me, how much of what I was doing was very important to me. And then it showed me of how much that I also was doing before that wasn't important. And now I've reflected upon all of that and removed those things. And I'm super focused on doing more things that I actually enjoy, that actually drives me forward, that continues the growth curve for my life. So it's very good. It's very challenging. I think the one thing that I leave with you guys here after the 75-day challenge is the things that I sacrificed. I had to do both, things I liked and things I didn't like, and things that served me and things that didn't serve me. Now looking forward, I can for sure say that I'm going to continue on the path of doing the things that actually serve me. And then I've removed some of those other things. Now, I haven't really continued a ton of everything from the 75-day challenge. I go back to my Audible books. I'm not really reading the hardcovers. I'm almost finished the one that I was heavily into. And then I like Audible. So I'm just doing things that are super efficient. And I do feel like I'm growing. So with this here, we're going to scroll down here. It says to seek out stress. And then it's whether it's physical, intellectual, or emotional growth, it suggests that we get skills, from struggle, or we obtain different skills as we go through these struggles. So if we want to push ourselves and do these types of challenges, like the next one coming up is like a 30-day challenge that's going to coincide with our Fit 500 that we're launching, that's open to the community. These things add added stress to your life, but it's like a certain level of stress. Like the 75-day was up here, this 30-day challenge is just going to be here, and I think it's going to fall in line with a certain level that everybody can manage. And then we can certainly turn around the option of like resting afterwards, or resting past the 30 days, or not really pushing it to the point where we're beat up, where like both of my knees hurt and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that again. But it just shows, like with studies, that the brain responds to stress by becoming stronger. So as long as the period of stress is followed by, and this is important, guys, adequate rest and recovery, more on that down below, it's going to go into it, but it just says right here, in the world of a champion big surfer, Nick Lamb, it's only when you step outside your comfort zone that you grow. Being uncomfortable is the path to personal development. It is the opposite of complacency. That's important to see that. I stress this all the time. I draw that circle. I go around the boot campers and I imaginary circle with the chalk line, and I say, that's where you are. You're right inside that zone. And people even say, well, it's very comfortable in here. And I said, exactly, you proved my point. And then when I remove them outside of it and give them something heavier, or a different challenge, or a little bit different movement, or maybe some more mobility, that kind of thing, they start feeling more stress. And that's where you know that the body's growing. And you can challenge yourself, like it says here, physically, intellectual, or emotional. It all is very important that we seek out certain types of stress and certain levels of it. Now, when you start getting too much of it, you probably stop sleeping. You could even, like your body, like it doesn't remove everything that it should. You're not going to the bathroom regularly. You're not sleeping regularly. You're grinding your teeth. Certain things hurt that never hurt before. You start seeing more injury pop up in different parts of your body. These are all messages. These are all signals to yourself that you're stressing your body out too much, and it may be time for a rest. Corporate world. If you're in the corporate world and you're not taking your vacations, I think there's a statistic that the average American and Canadian, they roll over a full week vacation every single year. I used to do it in the early years of TD because I was younger and I went out on the weekends and I felt like I didn't need a vacation, so I always rolled over a week. But then I eventually didn't take it. I'm like, well, I'm not taking it, so why would I roll these weeks over? It's because we're pushing ourselves to limits, because you have these stats and all this stuff, these metrics, that we get so much stress put upon us that we don't actually take the opportunity to rest. And that happens a lot. Burnout happens a lot in the corporate world just because of that. And it's very simple to avoid just by taking a full day, put the cell phone away, say no, all that kind of stuff to your job and that kind of thing. That can help you reduce some of the levels of the stress that you do face on a Monday to Friday basis, and then have that one day on the weekend. Another thing that we do a lot, we work on average more than a full day extra, because we push our 9 to 5 to like 9 to 7, 9 to 9. And we do that so many days in a row that you actually end up working a full shift extra within the same amount of time. So you've really added 6 days, even though you work 5. That happens quite a bit. So that's extra stress that leads to the burnout in the workplace. Sometimes when we see it in the gym, people will push, extra hard, that kind of thing. Some injuries will pop up. Just be very mindful that you need a day to recover. You need 2 days. Sometimes you need a week that you're just going to draw back the weights and go a little bit lighter. You might be able to do the motions and all that good stuff and still be connected, but bring back the weights, right? So that kind of stuff does weigh on you. Okay. The next step is have the courage to rest. A lot of times I feel this one. Being in front of a big gym, like a big community, that kind of thing, I feel like I always have to keep going, and always have to like be in the best shape, all that kind of stuff. It is a lot of pressure of owning a gym in that regard. Like people talk to me all the time, well, you can't really own a gym and not look the part. I think this is something that I need to have a little bit more conscious about, to be a little bit more conscious about, is having the courage to rest and telling everyone else to rest. A lot of people choose not to. A lot of people think, well, I have goals, I have goals, I have goals. yes, we all have goals, but the limiting factor of us achieving those goals might be the fact that we're not resting. Like I've had multiple conversations with many people saying, "Oh, Corey, how do I get to this? How do I get to that?" I'm like, "Well, are you resting?" And they say, "Well, no." I say, "Well, I want to work out 6 days a week, and then I'm going to run on my off day." I'm like, "Well, you're actually not letting your body come back down." So we all need it. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're the best in the world or the worst in the world. We all need that time where our brain can check out, our body can check out, and our heart can check out, where we're just focusing on nothing. Absolutely nothing. We just have a good time, do what feels right, and we just focus on nothing. So it's really important that you stand up against societal norms, that kind of thing, people pushing you, the goals. If you're into motivational books, stuff like that, the more books you listen to consistently, every single one of them is going to tell you 10x your life, push your limits, all that kind of stuff. If you consistently read book after book after book on motivation, you're firing up here all the time. You're amped up, you come down with energy, you get back up because the next book starts. You're amped up, you're amped up, you're amped up. You're always on this level. I truly have done it. Like I've done it in Audible, and I kept reading and reading and reading, and all these books, Grant Cardone, that kind of thing, Gary Vee, they're all at you, telling you to fire, 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 be super efficient. I need to switch my books. So I need to have one of those, and then I need to go to something that isn't like David Goggins telling you to, if you quit, you basically suck. Like that's exactly what he says. He's just like, you can't quit. If you quit, you got to do the reps all over again. If you do 4,000 pull-ups and you do one wrong and you don't get it, you got to start at number one. You got Andy Frisella saying, if you don't take a progress picture on day 69, you got to go back to day one and start it all over again. They're always telling you to be at this limit. You want to get to your next limit. It's crazy because the only way these guys got to that level is allowing themselves to rest, right? It doesn't make any sense. But when we ingest it one by one by one by one consistently, we're not resting on that mindset. We're not putting that to rest so we can absorb things, reflect, and then grow, right? So if you're always looking at workout books and it tells you to do this and then this and then this, and I'm going to go to the next program, the next program, the next program, the next program, what's next, what's next, what's next? Well, what's next, guys, is probably your body needs to take a break. And then when your body takes a break, you come back stronger. And so I did that 75-day challenge. I didn't really lift weights, like I guess very aggressively over the 75 days. I did a lot of cardio, I did a lot of walking as my second days. I did a lot of light weights, 20 pounds, just because I knew it was going to be a beating on my body if I did it every single day. So then I didn't work out the whole week after, and then I had my 1 rep max testing with Jordan. It wasn't this week. This past week is the one before it. So it was in between the finish and then now starting tomorrow. And I blasted numbers. We have a leg extension machine here, and the whole thing, the whole stack is moving. It's 200 plus pounds. So it just told me that your strength just doesn't disappear. If you actually rest, you get stronger. And then we have a great trainer in the gym. He's not here too often, but he's one of the personal trainers that comes in and trains his clients. His name is Zach. And Zach posted a video on his Instagram. It's Watch Zach Go. And he's been doing training with a mindful mover on Instagram. And he actually has just said he's trained 3 exercises once a week, and his lifts are all going up, which is mind-boggling, but it makes perfect sense. You look at the program and the types of exercises. If you ever follow the mindful mover, he's very he's interesting. He shows you an exercise. Why do this when you can do this and gain this, 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 and this, instead of doing this and gaining this? So he has one movement for 4 different benefits versus having one other movement for one benefit. So that's what Zach's been doing, and he's proven that the fact that he's resting but doing these exercises consistently once a week with his program, that he's actually seeing gains across the board, which is really cool. I'm going to reach out to him more. There is a program that I looked into buying. It's a little bit more than I want to spend right now, but it's interesting concept that you can actually train less but gain more, which is very cool. So that's enough on the rest side of things. And then let's scroll down here. This is highlighted, I think, for a very important reason. So many people make the mistake of cutting sleep to do more work when sleep is one of the most productive things you can do, period. This is a big one. I do it all the time. I focus on getting work done, and I know at the end of the 75-day challenge, I was definitely staying up way too freaking late, and I was being super inefficient throughout the day, where I would go home and watch too much Netflix. Like, I think I made it through all of season 3 of Animal Kingdom in a few days. It was lazy. I needed the sleep. The Raptors games, oh man, those things crushed me. Yeah, it was a great experience, but they put me into a really bad spot for efficiency. I didn't have any motivation to do anything. So I now make it a point that it's like 9:58. I'm sending messages out, and the message is, "I gotta go. Bedtime. 2 minutes. Bye," and away we go. So back to not cutting my sleep out. I think in the last 4 days, I was in bed before the sun went down. So that was really cool. I don't know if many of you do it. You gotta have blackout blinds, but yeah, 8:49. Give me 20 minutes, and I'll be heading home, going to bed, pretty much. So try your best not to do that. That's the most important. That's when you grow. And one little tip that I'll tell you guys from a food standpoint: 30 minutes prior to going to sleep, having a protein shake can help, or added protein into your diet just before you go to bed can help when you hit the REM cycle of your sleep to release the hormones that help you grow. So growth hormone and testosterone comes out during your REM cycle, and having protein to boost that, it helps the synthesis of the protein, which then helps heal the muscles. And that's when it heals the most, is during your REM sleep. So that's why it said if you can sleep or extend that sleep longer, you'll get more REM, and your body will continue to produce those hormones until you wake up. And then cortisol takes over, it jumps up, and then the other two get suppressed. And as cortisol goes up through the day, then it gets into the later in the evening, and you have your melatonin, all that kind of stuff taking over. So that's just a quick tip before you go to bed. All right, the last part of the equation. So it says here to take a moment to reflect on your goals. These can be professional, creative, athletic, or even having to do with growing in a relationship. Then ask yourself if you're following a trajectory of stress plus rest equals growth. And if not, we need to make some changes, right? Are you taking on just manageable challenges that provide a stimulus for growth, but then following them with rest, reflection to ensure you adapt? Finding the right balance of stress and rest in your pursuits is perhaps the most promising and just as important sustainable way to improve and grow. It's pretty simple. It's pretty direct about the growth side of things. If you do the first two and you do them with efficiency, growth is happening. It's guaranteed to happen. So I definitely suggest that you guys take those moments to reflect on what you are actually trying to accomplish. Are you just setting goals for the sake that we told you to? Are you setting goals because you think that's what you want? Are they truly what you want? So you really need to get, I guess, down to the point with what you want out of your life so that you can keep that trajectory on an upward path, right? You want that trajectory to be climbing. And it's okay if sometimes it goes flatline, because those are probably the times that you're growing. Those are probably the times that you're healing. And those are the times that you should be more mindful of what you're doing. Because you feel like, oh, I'm not growing, I'm not doing anything, I'm not on that path again. Well, it's just those little adjustments that you need to do to be able to get going back up. If anybody follows the stock market, that's what happens all the time. It goes up, comes back down, everybody reevaluates what sector they should be putting their money in, and then all of a sudden the portfolios start going back up. Life is much the same, right? It's an up and down battle, but at the same time, more times than not, if you're not resting, it's just a downward line. So something you want to be mindful of. All right, let's stop sharing it there. Cool. All right, let's talk more on the weightlifting side. I really want to stress with you guys that go ham at the gym, in boot camp, that kind of stuff, is to pick a week, a month from now, whenever from now, and pick it as a deload week so that you can be conscious of what you actually do. And it doesn't mean don't work out. It just means, because workouts are a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It's a stress release. It's their oasis, right? It's their place that they can go turn their brain off and just put in the work. But it doesn't mean that you have to go heavy all the time. Yes, we're in front of the classes, instructors trying to push you to your limits all the time, but that's what we're supposed to do on a regular day basis. So we do that because of the general group. People are all at different levels. So you have to take the onus on yourself to say, hey, maybe this is my week. Maybe my body's feeling a little creaky, you need some little oil in your knee, that kind of thing. make sure you take that time to do the maintenance that's appropriate. Or at least if you're after hours, pardon me, not at the gym, at home doing that kind of stuff, make sure you do your mobility, make sure you do your stretching, that kind of stuff. David Goggins, in his book Can't Hurt Me Now, said he went 20 years without stretching. He was just a straight robot that just went through on and on and on and on, just pounding his body, different hell weeks and all this kind of stuff. And then he goes, I found stretching. I stretch like 90% of my day, and I work out like 4% of my day, and I blow my numbers away on my runs, my lifts, all that kind of stuff. He did 4,000 plus pull-ups, but he didn't do that because he didn't stretch. He definitely found stretching, but it took him 20 years. I'm 35. If I found it in 20 years, it's 55. I'm going to be so sore by the time I get to 55. My kids they'll be running laps around me. They'll be in cars, obviously, by that time and all that good stuff. But yeah, just one of those things that I want to stress. A deload week is very, very important. Okay? You'll see these little aches and pains. I see them across the screen here even tonight. I know all your aches and pains, guys. Be mindful. That's all I got to say. I don't want to be a dad, but I'm going to be a dad because I'm a dad. Make sure you stretch. Carrie, I see you. Allison, you're already on it, but you know I'm always on your case. Jen, Sarah, I don't know your aches and pains yet, but I will. And JJJ, I got you. All right, guys, that's it from me tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Key points. Take the time to reflect. As always, we always stress reflection because that's the only time you learn. Please get some rest. Thank you for staying up till 9 p.m. It's still light out. You can go to sleep if you want to, if it's light out. It's not a bad thing. Don't be ashamed. It's like awesome. And have a good time. Enjoy the weather while it lasts. Hopefully the rain doesn't come this week on the days that I golf. And guess what I bought today? I'm going to unmute everyone. Wait. No, wrong button. Let's go to participants, unmute. Anybody have any guesses? Come on.
Alex, shut up. Golf gear?
Golf gear?
Something to do with golf. I don't know.
You are correct, but what did I get?
A new club.
That is right. That is right. A driver. I got a driver because I can't hit the friggin' fairway. And I think it's the club, right? It's always the club.
Oh, it's gotta
be the club. I took my dad's advice for 30 years to switch equipment. Today I had to switch the equipment. And then I went home and I made sure I was surviving, because sometimes I don't survive when I buy expensive things. But this one wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. And I feel good about it. I went to the driving range and it was nice. All right. That's what I bought. You guys stuck it to the end, except JJJ. But anyways, thanks again, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Share it. It's going to get posted on Wednesday, the link, and we'll get going. Bye.
Good night, everyone.